Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel Vision Polity. This channel is basically would like to highlight academic lecture discussion, special and political science in the field of South Asian studies, international relations, political theory, politics in India, peace and conflict studies, security studies, social security, etc. I have already uploaded a lot of videos, PPT come lecture in my YouTube channel. This is my 10th video lecture on the topic human security. Today I'd like to deliver comprehensively on the concept of human security, which is more relevant in present day context. Because in 21st centuries, these humanitarian issues gain a lot of significance even at this neoliberal state mechanisms, and in 21st centuries, due to this increased number of competition, increased number of development, there's a kind of fast changing of the society, but at the same time, somewhere down the line, the concept of human security need to be prioritized because for example, from 1990s we have this UNDP, United Nations Development Programs, and under this UNDP's this United Nations Development Programs, each and every year this UNDP publish their annual human development report. But surprisingly, till today, we don't have any kind of human insecurity index under the domain of this UNDP. So though we have this arrangement in terms of this human security, but somewhere down the line, this concept need to be need to get more prioritized. So but instead of going in all those the practical realities regarding the basis of this human security, I'd like to concentrate specifically more on the theoretical side of the theoretical concept of human security. If you look at human security from Amitav Acharya's perspective, human security has been interpreted in different ways. According to him, sometimes as a global template, and in some cases as a means of reducing the human cost of violent conflict. Then again, if we look at from UNDP's 1994 Human Development Report's definitions, because in that particular 1994's UNDP's Human Report, definitions basically argued in terms of this human security, and that basically highlighted some specific criteria in terms of this human security. And in that particular 1994 UNDP's Human Development Report, they argues that the scope of global security should be expanded to include the traits in seven specific criteria, and from that time onwards, and that particular from 1994 onwards, the concept of human security become more significant, because in 1994 this UNDP's Human Development Report was basically prepared by this Mahbub-ul Haq, where he basically highlighted 7 specific criteria of human security, specifically this economic security, food security, health security, environmental security, personal security, community security, and political security. And since then, this human security has been receiving a more attention, from the key global development institutions, such as this World Bank. So the issue of insecurity of human being due to armed violence, that can be looked, the conceptual tool of human security. And for the first time, it was Mahbub-ul Haq who drew that particular global attention to the concept of human security in this UNDP's 1994 Human Development Reports. There he defined human security as providing safety for the people from hunger, diseases, oppressions, and other chronic threats, as well as the protecting them from sudden and hurtful disruptions in the pattern of the daily life. The logic behind that particular specific definitions is basically lies in terms of the realities of this post 1990s, the development in the entire world, the post Cold War development, and specifically in the last decade of 20th centuries, new concept developed, like we have this class of civilizations, then you have this end of ideology, and there are different sorts of interventions. There's a increased number of tensions between this West versus the rest. There's a kind of crisis situation is all over the world. Well, world is in a very transitional period, and there is kind of paradigmatic shift from the very concept of security from non-traditional traditional dimensions of security to non-traditional dimensions of security, where these non-traditional dimensions of security basically put emphasis upon the concept of this humanitarian concept, this human security. So from that time onwards, this constructive issues, this non-traditional dimensions of security analysis came into the forefront. The Commission on Human Security, which is formed in 2000 UN Millennium Summit, also defined human security as protecting fundamental freedoms that are essence of life. It means protecting people from critical and pervasive threats and situations. It means using processes that build on people's strength and aspirations. It means creating political, social, environmental, economic, military, and cultural systems that together give people the building blocks of survival, livelihood, and dignity. So human security basically stressed upon two specific notions, that is freedom from fear and freedom from want. So freedom from fear is basically focused upon freedom from physical, sexual, and psychological abuse, violence, persuasion, or death. And similarly, this freedom from want that highlighted in terms of gainful employment of food and health. If we look at this both concept, freedom from fear and freedom from want, this Canada implement this freedom from fear approach in their foreign policies, and in this Japan implement freedom from want policy in their foreign policies. So significantly, it's become a kind of a global template as such. This particular very concept of human security that distinguishes it from the national security. In the words of Bardellin, human security is about recognizing the importance of the people's security needs side by side with those of states, minimizing risk, adopting preventive measures to reduce human vulnerabilities, and taking remedial action when preventive measures fail. So these are some sort of conceptual development. These are some sort of theoretical analysis regarding the concept of human security. But the very concept of this human security, the development of this particular very concept of human security is it has lots of historical realities. It is not a development in the 1990s. Theoretically, this concept of this human security get theorized from 1990s onwards. But prior to that, this very idea of human security has been prevalent. The very idea of this consciousness in terms of the people, because the very concept of human security is interrelated with another such kind of concept like this development, like this peace, like this governance. These things are very much interrelated. In a democratic environment, there must be kind of correlations between these issues. So from the time of this, we can say from on the eve of this 20th centuries, gradually this very idea of this human security, it get prioritized, and subsequently it accelerated in the post-Cold War phenomena in the age of globalization, when these neoliberal state mechanisms came into the forefront. The specific 7 criteria which basically highlighted by this UNDP's 1994 Human Development Report. From that time onwards, this very concept of human security become more significant. But along with that, there are some specific goals that projected by the Commission on Human Security that achieved all the members and non-member state of United Nations organizations. It's basically set certain sort of goals. Number one, to promote the public understanding, engagement, and support of human security and its underlying imperatives. Number two, to develop the concept of human security as an operational tool for policy formulation and implementations. Thirdly, to propose a concrete program of action to address critical and pervasive threats to human security. So this particular three specific specific goal that have been projected by Commission on Human Security to be followed by each and every members, to be achieved by each and every member countries. But while analyzing the whole concept of human security, it's revolving around these 7 specific parameters of human security. Number one, that economic security. It basically symbolizes the threats from poverty, unemployment, indebtedness, lack of income, etc. Because this economic security is very much important. Until unless you fail to become economically empowered, there's a kind of insecurity dilemmas. That is economic insecurity. And as soon as you feel insecure in terms of your economic priorities, your economic sustainabilities, if there is some sort of lacking in terms of your economic sustainabilities, that create problems later on in terms of gather your nutritional facilities. And in that way, as a result of this economic security, these problems of economic security, that means the dilemma in terms of economic security, the people again confronted with another issue, that is food security, food insecurity. While we are talking about the concept of security, the very concept of insecurity, quote unquote, is very much related. Because the concept of security came into the forefront as a result of there is always a kind of parameters in terms of insecurity. There are always a kind of threat presumptions in the minds of each and every individuals in different way, which we need to overcome. So as soon as a particular individual feel economically insecure, from that context, again, this very, the second dimension, that is food security, problems of this food security came into existence. It focused upon the threats from hunger, famines, a lack of physical and economic access to basic foods. So that particular individual cannot, gather his or her, this basic necessity in terms of this, nutritional. It cannot, compile his that particular, the calorific, gain, on the basis of which that particular individual faced the trouble in terms of their health. So as a result of this food insecurity, thirdly, this health issues came into the forefront. So the third one is health security. It threw light on the threats due to inadequate health care, diseases, and other health hazards. So different sorts of health hazards may came to the forefront. People may face trouble as a result of this, lack of lack of nutritional facilities. This as a result of this malnutrition, as a result of lack of gaining access in terms of this calories, as a result of fulfillment of economic aspiration, economic lackings. The particular individual face trouble in terms of health. That means he or she cannot survive. He or she cannot fulfill. He cannot. He may face trouble. He may face a lot of trouble in terms of his or her survival. So there may be any kind of health issues may came to the forefront, and he cannot mitigate that particular problem as a result of his or her economic lackings, because he or she is not economically empowered. So he or she cannot take care of herself or himself. So in that context, this health security came into the forefront. Then fourthly, the another issues of security and insecurity, that is environmental security. It highlighted on threats from environmental degradations, natural disaster, pollution and resource depletion. So environmental security is a very important dimensions of human security. And nowadays, in the age of globalization, as a result of this environmental degradation, as a result of increased number of populations, this populations, there's a kind of concept that developed. There's a kind of concept that developed by that was specifically addressed by this late Indira Gandhi in 1972 Stockholm Conference. The concept of this populations. That means this population, the population has been exploded as a result of explosion of populations. So this particular this populations, or this the pollution as a result of population explosion, this is basically the problems of the third world countries which are overcrowded. But in terms of environmental security, it's basically highlighted on the threats from different environmental issues, the degradation of environment, different sorts of natural disaster, that may be a kind of earthquake, that may be the flood, that may be a kind of many more natural disaster may take place. Then this pollution is one kind of problem. Then resource depletion. These are the issues on the basis of which, from environmental viewpoint, individual may face trouble in terms of their security. Then personal security. It basically includes the threat due to the crime or violence. So as a result of any kind of crime, heinous crime, as a result of the increased number of violence in nowadays the present context, in the societal context, personally each and every individual may feel insecure. So that is a personal security issues. Then community security. This security paradigms, it includes in its domain about the threats from discrimination and abuse of various groups, armed conflict, and also threats to the integrity of the cultural diversity. So from community perspective, that may be conflict-induced human insecurity. That may be as a result of violent conflict-induced human insecurity. That may be a kind of development-induced human insecurity. That may be a displacement-induced human insecurity. Many more insecurity dilemmas. As a result of genocide, as a result of civil war, as a result of armed conflict, as a result of fratricidal killings, this community, the issues of community security, came into existence. And last but not the least, that is political security. And here the threats come due to the political or state repression, human rights violation, including torture. So this may happen, sometimes if there's a kind of democratic deficits. This may happen as a result of if there's a kind of political violence, if there's a kind of political restlessness, if there's a kind of political turmoil, if there's a kind of crisis situation for the democracy, this political security may arise. So this non-traditional dimensions of human security, it's basically highlighted these 7 specific parameters which we need to fulfill. Then can only human being must feel secure. So human being, this human security provides a helpful impetus for understanding the international relation and security in an individualistic manner, extracting from state's domain. The concept of human security incorporates a wide range of actors as potential provides of security within the new instrumental arrangement. So, the 1999 UNDP's Human Development Report on Globalization that deliberately put emphasis upon certain crucial issues like this economic crisis, global climate, environmental degradations, communications, etc. Universality, interdependence, prevention, people-centeredness. So these are some sort of specific issues. So this UNDP's Human Development Report 1994 that basically showed how the paradigmatic shift from state security to human security. For most people today, a feeling of insecurity arises more from worries about daily life than the dread of a cataclysmic world event. So these are some sort of analysis that made by UNDP's Human Development Report 1994 as a result of gradual increase of heinous crime, As a result of gradual increase of violent conflict in different parts of the world, these very ideas gaining a lot of significance. So the idea of human security as a guarantor of the continuation of human development, as well as a prioritization of its most urgent variables, that again introduced by this Mahbub ul Haq, and this Amartya Sen also highlighted some crucial viewpoint in terms of this human security. And according to Amartya Sen, human development is considered to be growth with equity, whereas human security is downturn with security. So this both concept of human development and human security is interrelated, and that exactly the reason why in 1994 UNDP's Human Development Report basically highlighted the issue of human security, so that these two concepts, this development and human security, can go parallelly, so that we can able to make a kind of consensus with the help of which we can able to make that particular prosperity, that kind of overall development, proper development, inclusive growth of the entire world in each and every regions. Along with this this human security, I'd also like to highlight the specific concept of security, which are very much interrelated, to make the concept of human security more fruitful. This concept of human security is also related to different concept, that is cooperative security and this comprehensive security. When we are talking about cooperative security, it basically defines security in terms of social, economic, and environmental issues. And under cooperative security initiative, efforts is to be made to change the mentality and attitude of the stakeholders to ensure better cooperations beyond border, to overcome the problems of narrowly constructed national interest of the state apparatus. This type of security is a kind of process in which the sub-state groups peacefully attain independence and later on would become a part of regional arrangement to solve the various security problems of the region. In order to deepening and extending the concept of security, this cooperative security considered to be an important tool. In terms of deepening security, the concept of cooperative security is very much important. And in that way, again, this comprehensive security, which became the foreign policy specifically for the Japan. This Japan adopted this comprehensive security policies, because this comprehensive security this help to implement Japan's specific policy, that is freedom from want, because this which are interrelated. So this Japan adopted by the that also can be adopted by the other nation state as a non-traditional security aspect. In order to expand the concept of comprehensive security, it includes the principles of balanced national development through endeavors in every aspect of life, that is ideological, political, economic, socio-cultural, and military. So these things are interrelated. You have to go for that comprehensive security, and there must be a kind of correlation between this comprehensive cooperative security, which will help deliberately in terms of realizing human security norms, which is a non-traditional dimension security, which basically based on this specific 7 criteria which we have already discussed. So the very concept of human security that get prioritized in the post-colonial phenomena, it get accelerated in the 21st centuries, and it's a very major issues. There's a close relationship with other humanitarian concepts like human rights, the close relationship with peace, there's a close relationship with development. And it is also helpful in terms of increasing the capacity of the governance of a particular national government. So in terms of state security as well, this concept of human security also very much important. So I'd like to conclude my speech today on this human security. Hope you can able to understand. So thank you very much for watching my videos. Stay safe, and please don't forget to like and subscribe my YouTube channel so that you get new notifications, and I'll come again with new videos very shortly. Thank you.